Hey, what's up people? In today's video we are going to take a look at the cold steel Talwar large. This is also going to be the last video of this like little series that I did where I showed you all the 4-inch bladed knives I have with a lock and being one-handed deployed. And yeah, so this is the last knife, and I'm gonna do one more video where I show all of the knives together in one video. And then after that, I'm switching to some different knives that I haven't shown you yet. So don't be sad, it's gonna continue. I'm still gonna make videos, but this is the last 4-inch bladed folder. And I picked this for a reason to be the last one, because this one has kind of a sentimental value to me. This knife, the cold steel Talwar, was the knife that started it all for me. It was the first cold steel that I had. It wasn't my first knife ever, or a high-end knife, or it's not really a high-end knife, but you know, a better knife. I was collecting knives for a while, but I never looked at cold steels, and this was the first cold steel that sold me on cold steel. And yeah, so this one is I want to say like 8 years old. I think 8 years ago I started to buy cold steels, and I got really into cold steel knives. And yeah, the Talwar, it's a beautiful Persian design, so upswept tip and then down curving handle. I think it's a beautiful I don't know, like a yin and the yang. Something goes up, something goes down. It's just a beautiful design. I think it's visually very appealing, even though I think the old Talwar, the one before this, was much more appealing than this even. It had a beautiful Persian style blade with a secondary grind. I think it was made of VG1 steel. It had bolsters. It had some nicely contoured G10 handle scales and some beautiful file work on the back spring as well. I think it just looked really good. But this was the knife that was in production when I got into cold steel, so I have this one. Naturally, this is also in Aus 8 steel, because it's from that time period. As you can see, there is the old logo on there, and if it doesn't say anything underneath, it's very likely that it's Aus 8 or BD1 in a later area. But I think the Talwar is the only made an Aus 8, if I remember correctly. It's also a different kind of feeling in terms of the locking system. These old cold steels were never as smooth as the newer ones are, so the back spring is a lot tighter. Even though this one has been used so much, it's still a very tight lockup, and you need a little bit more thumb strength as opposed to a newer weight. This is one in XHP, a Recon 1 in XHP, and this one is really smooth and easy to depress in terms of the lock, but this one is stiff and kind of slow, and that's how cold steels used to be in the past. Obviously you got that very aggressive G10 that over the years has smoothened down quite a bit, but it's still very grippy. I have knocked it down underneath the clip so I don't shred my pants as easily. But yeah, I think it's interesting that that G10 is like at an angle. What's it called again? Just grippy G10, yeah, whatever, you know what I mean. But it sits at sort of an angle. They didn't cut it out like this, so the chimping goes, or the texture goes in this direction. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's the case on all of these. Finger grooves, Andrew Demko is a really good designer when it comes to finger grooves. So yeah, this one has been also designed by Andrew Demko, like most cold steels. And it fits me like a glove. It depends on your hand size, I guess. You can choke back a little bit more. Yeah, I also have the XL Talwar, but I suppose that's a topic for a different video where I show both of these. I think I have shown both of these in some videos in the past, but obviously I'm gonna do more videos. I like both of these. I always enjoyed the XL Talwar as well, but today I'm only gonna talk about the large version, just because, yeah, this is part of this 4-inch category that I talk about lately so much. There are not a lot of Persian blades on the market for good reason. They are not the perfect EDC knives because you don't have the best control over your tip. You get a longer cutting edge though, because if you think about it, if your tip is more center lined, you don't get as much cutting edge unless you do like a belly. So actually I'm not correct. It's the same cutting edge with a center line tip if you do more belly, because the Persian style blades, they don't have a lot. They go more quickly towards the point. So yeah, it's not, so it is kind of a negative thing in the end, because you don't get as good of control over the tip as with a center line point, and it's a little bit harder to use therefore. So not a lot of Persian EDC knives on the market. I think Best Tech has a few of them, and I don't really like them. These are all like liner locks, and I don't know, but this one is kind of special because it has that strong triad lock, and it feels like a real hard user Persian style blade in a sense. Although hard use in a sense of it's strong, it's not a tough blade. In fact, it's a really thin blade, which is a good thing about the Talwar, because it's so slicey and it passes through material so easily. Again, I'm showing you the Voyager as a comparison, which the Voyager has like a 3mm blade stock, so it's not a really thick blade, but the Talwar is just thin, really thin blade stock. And so this knife cuts from pure geometry and not just from how sharp the edge is. My edge currently has a lot of edge damage. Maybe you can see that. Yeah, there you can see it. The edge is reflecting quite a bit. Big edge damage on here right now. I think I was cutting on something in the dark, and I thought there was wood underneath, but I cut right into some metal pieces, and that's where the edge damage comes from. Why didn't I sharpen it out? Well, you know how it is. If you have damage here and a perfect edge here, you're still gonna remove that perfect material here if you want to sharpen this part. So I left it as it is, and I want to damage this part first before I resharpen the entire thing, because, you know, this is kind of I'm not gonna ever buy this knife again, because I'm not sure if these are even made now again. I heard they would bring the large versions back. I think so far only the XL versions have come out again from Cold Steel. Not sure if they're really gonna bring the large versions back. I think so though. Correct me if I'm wrong, maybe they are already back, I don't know, but yeah, this will be probably my only Talwar, at least a large one, that I have, because this one, like I said, is kind of has kind of a sentimental value. It is my first Cold Steel, and I have carried it quite a bit, I've used it quite a bit, and as you know, as it is in life, you carry things, and for a long time these knives are with you on very important days of your life. You go through a lot of personal stuff, and these are in your pocket, so you bond with them a little bit more. Yeah, I've gone through all kinds of things in my life with this knife in my pocket. So I don't know, you get people in your life, you lose people out of your life. I remember that when my dog died, my dog did die in my arms, and he kind of faded away while I was holding him. And yeah, I had this knife in my pocket, and when I buried him, I also had this knife in my pocket, because it was the same day naturally. And yeah, it has been with me on a lot of important days in my life, I would say, and that's why it has some value to it. That is more than just how good the knife is. But I still like the knife as it is, even though, like I said, that upswept tip is kind of hard to control. It's more of a fighting style knife in the end, not just the EDC knife, although, like I said, the thin blade does good in cutting. I mean, this knife has a lot of edge damage, and as you could see in the beginning of the video, it sailed through cardboard with that entire edge damage, just because it's so thin, and the geometry on itself just does the cutting. yeah, I added a lanyard at some point. I think the reason for that was that the blade goes pretty far to the end of the handle, and if you would wave this, you can wave this obviously with this thumb plate. If you would reach in your pocket, you oftentimes would have your, because it's hard to pull like this, right? So your fingers are not in the way of the blade. So oftentimes you would end up on the blade, and obviously then the wave doesn't work. So either you cut yourself or you push the blade still in the handle. So I added this lanyard, which helps you go around that problem. So these fingers go in here, these two press here, and then the whole path for the blade is clear. So this is the reason I put this lanyard on. And this 9mm on here, I think, as far as I remember, I'm not entirely sure, but I think this was one of the last rounds that I fired out of my service pistol when I was in the military. And I came home, drilled a hole in it, and put it on this lanyard, on this knife. And yeah, so this was fired out of Glock 17 Gen 3 when I was in the military, and so it has some value to it. I guess I have fired lots of 9mm after my service time, but this one I fired in my service time, so it's kind of a little bit special to me. Yeah, it's not really super special, but as I told you before, there is some value to it that you can't measure in like how good the knife is or how expensive the knife is. There are other things in life that are more important than these things. So yeah, so when I look at this knife, I oftentimes I'm like, yeah, this has been with me for such a long time. It's probably never gonna go anywhere. So if I had to do like a list, last 10 knives of my life, this probably would be on here, just because, like I said, first cold steel has been with me on a lot of important days in my life, and has been with me for a long time. Still is very reliable. The AUS 8 is doing fine, except the edge damage, which was my fault. The edge retention is really good on here. I think the heat treatment is quite decent for a cast steel that is not a PM steel. It's holding up really well. It's easy to resharpen, easy to restrop. I don't care for it if it's the best steel in the world. In the end, it's more important if the knife works for you or it doesn't work. And that's the more important stuff. And this knife definitely has worked for me. I carry it quite a bit. I like to carry it when I'm not carrying it in my front pocket, where I can wave it out and carry it appendix style. And it's not a heavy knife. This backspacer right here and everything, and the G10 is nicely rounded off. Fits to the body really well. I think it has like 145 grams, which is 5.1 ounces. Not the lightest knife, but it's carrying well. I don't have any problems with it. I think it feels a lot lighter than it actually is. This version obviously also has no liners. It's just a G10, like cold steels are usually constructed. I'm gonna show you a size comparison also, so you can kind of get an idea. The finger grooves are done a little bit differently, but yeah, like I said, for my hand, it's a perfect fit. I don't know, always depends on your hand size and everything. Here is a PM2 size comparison. Yeah, this is an old friend, really, to me. This knife right here, it's like an old friend that has been on my side for quite a few things. And you know, like I said, in the end, I think that's the more important stuff in life is that it's not the most valuable thing or the most high-end materials. The most important stuff is what you carry, what you have with you every single time, and what has been with you in the most important situations of your life. And yeah, this is definitely one of those knives that has been with me for the most important situations of my adult life, let's say it like that. But yeah. So yeah, this is the Cold Steel Talwar Large. Really like it. Never will go anywhere. Thank you guys for watching. Maybe we see each other in the next video. Like I said, it's going to be all the 4-inch folders that I have combined in one video. Not sure how I'm gonna do that. I think I just throw all of them on a table and talk about them for a while, and then we'll see. what kind of videos I do afterwards. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and goodbye.